Thank you. 1,000,001, 1,000,002, 1,000,003, 1,000,004, 1,000,005, 1,000,006, 1,000,007. Had you just entered into the world and experienced 1,000,007 seconds, you would be 11 and a half days old. And I see that we're a little bit older than that here. So there's a lot more seconds, a lot more moments that each of us have experienced. And how can we live powerfully in each moment, being free, totally alive, in alignment with life? And for me, it's having my mind, my body, and my being in sync. Have you been watching the Olympics? Yes? Have you been fortunate enough to see the synchronized swimming? The ones that I've seen have the two people, and if you can think of one with the body and one with the mind, that they have created so much beauty. They are synchronized in the movements that they're performing in the water. It's amazing to watch. And what I wanted to bring up them for is that you can imagine how much practice that has taken. They didn't just decide, well, I think I'm going to do some synchronized swimming and jump in the water. They spent a lot of hours practicing. And if we're to be a spiritual athlete and learn how to have our mind, body, and being in sync, I would offer it takes practice as well. The first skill that I would recommend learning is to listen. It's to listen to our thoughts, to listen to our body, and then to listen to the being as well. What is it that we're here for? And having that in sync. So when we think in terms of thoughts, I'm speaking. So thoughts are coming and I'm sharing them with you. We have thoughts that happen in our mind. You might be having self-talk about some of the things that I've already shared. And then we look out and we receive information from other people. We make meaning out of the things that we see, the flowers, the trees, and then we have words that people speak to us as well. And so it's important to be aware of the thoughts and the meanings that they give us. When I was growing up, my mom would say, oh, I need this like I need a hole in the head. Have you heard that? So as a little kid, you can kind of visualize, let's see, where would the hole be and why would you need a hole? Right? I don't get it. Why are you saying that? And then another one would be my dad, and I would say, Dad, I need some new shoes. And I'm a little person. Dad looks at me and he says, well, sorry, Ellie, we don't have much money. I'm going to have to paint your feet this year. Have you had someone tell you that? So as a little person, it's like, well, I hope he's not serious because he has done some things that seem a little odd. My point is that we can say words and then how they're being said, we can feel that. So with my mom, when she would say, I need that like I need a hole in the head, she was frustrated. And I could pick that up with her words. My dad, on the other hand, was being lighthearted when he said, oh, we might have to paint your feet. So words are very important. And the ones that are most important, I think, are the ones that are in your head. So as you watch the Olympics, you've been listening to an announcer, right? They tell you what you're seeing. They hear what they're doing, and they're an expert, so they know best, right? And yet, if you were there, you wouldn't hear the commentator. And I'd offer that all of us have a life announcer. And our life announcer says, well, it shouldn't be that way. I don't like that. Oh, I do like this, so I want more of that. And let's see. Yeah, it shouldn't be that way, and I want this, and I don't get it, so I'm going to be disappointed. So our life announcer will actually separate us from what's actually happening in life. And we can learn how to listen to our life announcer and be able to create change. So the first is to listen and be aware of that announcer, that how it's talking to you. And we'll talk about not identifying with that announcer. Last time I spoke, I said we're not our body, we're not our thoughts, we're spirit. And so to really be centered in spirit, you can be aware of what's happening in your body and your mind. And that's important. So when you're in touch with your body and your mind, then you're really surrendering to what is right now. So we have the life announcer. We also have information in our body. Right? Our body tells us if we're tired. And listening to the body, we could say, well, that means we're supposed to rest. And yet our minds can get engaged and then say, well, you need to have this done, so go have a cup of coffee, that will keep you up, and then go do it. Instead of honoring what the body is telling, our minds are very powerful, can redirect us, and then we're no longer listening to what our body's telling us. Or maybe it's, what does it feel like to feel hungry again? Oh, do I eat when I'm hungry? And then how does it feel to know that I'm satisfied? So being aware that we get conditioned and then we just go through our life doing that. And to be more in touch is powerful living. Powerful living is understanding we have a body that communicates to us. So to listen, we have a mind that is continually chattering, and we need to be aware of that and listen, and then to really exercise our personal power in how do we want to move forward with that. So we understand that we have the mind and the body. We want to stop identifying with both of those. And we want to allow. That's what we did with the meditation. I'm not sure what came up for you. For me, I've done a lot of different meditation techniques. And I went to one, it was a cold, wintry Minnesota day, and I walked there, so I was really warm. And I got to the meditation center, and they had already started, so I was late. And I don't know about you, but some of the meditations that I go to, you're not allowed to come in. So I was very grateful. Oh, good, I get to come into the meditation. So I took off my boots, went in, grabbed my cushion, sat down. I didn't even take off my jacket, set my purse down, and this was a guided meditation. So I sit down, and you know what it's like when you're stressed and you're hurrying up to get someplace, and then you finally get there, and oh, I can just relax. So I sit on my cushion, guided meditation, and the facilitator says, okay, now you can focus on your breath. I go, oh, good. And the thought comes, did you turn off your phone? I don't know, did I turn off my phone? What did I do today? Let's see. I had that call with Susie in the morning, and then I did that with Carol, and then, let's see, what did I do? I ate before I came. Oh, I don't know. Did I turn off my phone? And then the facilitator says, no, you can focus on the silence. No, I can't focus on the silence. I got to figure out if I've got my phone on. So let's see, I'm pretty sure. So now I decide I'm pretty sure I left my phone on. Now it's like, what will it take to turn it off? You know, first I've got to unzipper my purse. That's going to make noise. And notice it was very important for me not to make any noise because I was already late. And then when you actually do that beeping, does it make a sound? You know, when you're turning off your phone, does that actually make a sound? And I'm really getting worked up. And not only is my mind churning with all this, you know, is my phone on? I'm physically feeling it. Don't you feel it? The stress, and it's like, oh wow, I'm hot. I'm really getting hot. I was already sweating on my way here. So now I want to unzipper my jacket, but I know that that's going to make noise too. So I'm just sitting there sweating. And the facilitator says, now you can go back to your breath. Go back to my breath. I haven't figured this out yet. So what do? I focus again and I think, I'm smart. I went to college. I can figure this out. It's about probability. Now, who's going to call me at 7 o'clock at night? Right? My husband knows that I'm here. And like, would my kids be calling? No, that's not very likely. And then the facilitator says, okay, you can go back to the silence. Who was I interacting with? My life announcer, right? I was engaged with it. Was I identified? No, we were having a conversation. And our life announcers want to protect us. It was because I didn't want to be embarrassed, right? And yet I was invited 4 times. I could come back to the breath, back to the silence, and I engaged. And yet it's allowing the thoughts to come up. And what the value of that is to watch our patterns. How is it that our thoughts work? And to be able to distance ourselves and see them, see the life announcer. What is it saying? And do I want to engage with it? Or do I just want to let the thoughts be? So I've read a book called The Untethered Soul by Mickey Singer. Because then the first time I had heard the voice was when I wanted to quit smoking. And it had been 2 days into it. If you've smoked before, you know how hard that can be. And the thought came, you're going to go crazy if you quit smoking. For whatever reason, I said, okay, go ahead. And I didn't do anything. So that was one of the ways that it was like, oh, that's a voice, and I hear it. I don't need to respond to it. And that's what we need to be in tune with is, what is these thoughts that are coming? Is that me? No. I can hear it. So listening, not identifying, and then allowing them to come up. Because in the book, it talks about that's repressed energy. It's energy that has not been allowed to be heard. And we have the power to listen to it. And problem comes when we identify with it then. Or we want to start engaging with that thought pattern. So there's a lot of power in allowing it to come up, because if you repress it back down, want to avoid it, you'll find that your behavior is such to help you do that. Oh, I'll just have another drink, I'll have a cigarette. I don't want to hear this stuff. To be present with what is powerful, because then you know where your power is. And instead of repressing it, you're allowing it to come up. You can always come back to center. You can always come back to, oh, that's my life announcer. What does it say today? Do I want to pay attention? Oh, isn't that interesting? And then for me, it's when I attach to it, no wonder that's why I would do that. If I believe that, yes, that makes all the sense in the world. It's telling me I'm worthless. So yeah, I wouldn't stand up for myself. So it's really important to pay attention to that voice from a standpoint of it's not me. And wow, what do I want to experience? So our bodies as well, we can be aware of our minds. Our bodies as well pick up a lot of different information. They have different sensations. I talked about knowing if you're tired or not. A technique that I learned called Vipassana. Really spend time with just focusing on sensations, not thoughts at all. And actually your body gets the information first, and then your mind will make some, right? The life announcer will tell you what's happened. So I'd like you to experience this type of meditation. So if you can be in a aligned position again, invite you to close your eyes. And for this meditation, what you're going to do is close your mouth, and then notice where the breath is coming. Is it coming in one nostril and out the same nostril? Is it switching? And then see if you can sense breath on your upper lip. I invite you to open up your eyes. So paying attention to the breath. Then with this meditation, we paid attention to the sensations. So this was a very elite training. It was a 10-day meditation, 10 hours a day, 2 hours per sit. And that's what we did. We paid attention, not to thoughts at all, but just bodily sensations. And it's amazing. I would feel something maybe can be very minor, like a pain in the leg, or it can be something very subtle. Maybe it feels like I have a bug in my head. it's just an interesting process to be that aware of the sensations that are within the body. And the same thing applies, that if you have anything that you've repressed, it needs some way of expression. So to be able to honor that is really in the allowing. So what I'd like you to do is place your hands together, thumbs are touching, and then just open up a little bit, and then bring your hands back together. Developed a technique called meditative movements that allows you to move your physical body, and then to add the breath and affirmations as a way to retrain. And with this, bring your hands apart, and don't they want to come back together? Can you feel that energy? So take a deep breath, inhaling, exhaling, bringing them apart. Come back together, take another deep breath, and then you can add the affirmation, and it's I allow. Hands come back together, take a deep breath. It's I allow. And you can practice these. The meditation is great, the breathing is great. I like it sometimes where it gets intense for me. It's like I'm allowing, and yet it's difficult because it might be something that's kind of overwhelming. But to be able to practice then and to stay centered. Because we live moment by moment. We already know that we've lived more than 1 million seconds. Is it 1,000,000,001? 1,000,002? 1,000,003? 1,000,004? 1,000,005? 1,000,006? 1,000,007? And to be living powerfully, knowing that that's how life works, means that we allow whatever wants to come up. And life is for us so that we can do that. It's trusting and being in alignment and knowing that we are truly one with everything. So whatever comes your way, you can allow it to be. And now with this inner self, not necessarily listening to your life announcer, but that inner being that you have will guide you. So thank you.